Es no dependo.
Welcome to the supernatural world of the Dead Boy Detectives. The investigating duo of Charles and Edwin are the titular Dead Boys, aka actual ghosts who have decided to stay back in the living world to fight off a buffet of creepy monsters. In today's video, we will introduce you to all the supernatural oddities that these characters from Neil Gaiman's Sandman universe tussled with in the new Netflix show. From murderous mushrooms and flesh-eating sea monsters to eyeless creatures and a spider from hell. Our list has them all, but first, here's a quick roundup of the storyline. Please proceed only if you don't mind a few spoilers about the new series. Charles and Edwin run the Dead Boy Detectives Agency and solves the mysteries around these ghosts who are stuck on the living plane owing to unidentified supernatural causes. The detective boys are friends with a psychic named Crystal Palace and her sweet, nurtured flatmate named Nico. The primary villains of Season 1 include David the Demon and Esther the Witch, who constantly create troubles in the lives of the detectives and their loved ones, while the detectives are busy fighting off the many other supernatural baddies of the show. Now it's time for you to take out your magical weapons as we are about to delve into some serious monster-ridden territory. But before we go into our explanations, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Behold us! Give us what we want, or we will tear the girl asunder and find a new...
Dandelion Sprites. Let's begin with the Dandelion Sprites. These crafty little things are paranormal parasites that love attention. These sprites enter the bodies of their victims and generate colorful projections around them, like a psychedelic halo, thus attracting the attention of those in the vicinity. When the victim is stared at in awe by those nearby, the sprites feed off the attention and grow stronger. Typical symptoms of being infected by these sprites include coughing up colorful goo, weakening of the hosts, and their imminent explosion. The explosion happens in an extreme case when the victim is confronted by the loved ones and the attention-loving sprite get angry by the lack of adoration. The Dandelion Sprites also cause their hosts to explode when they need to burst out of them and move on to the next victim. What remains are decayed skeletons of the host, a bunch of which came alive in the woods and attacked Edwin and Charles. Reading the inscriptions on the shrine of the Dandelion Sprites, Edwin and Charles discovered that these tiny gods require constant sacrifices and can only be contained with enchanted vessels. Crystal's flatmate Nico was infected by these sprites when she went to the woods looking for some dandelions. She lost consciousness for a while, and when she returned to her senses, she found herself lying on the grass with no memory of how she got infected. In order to extract the sprites from Nico's body, Crystal offered herself up as a fresh host to the sprites, and just when the sprites attempted to transfer onto Crystal, Charles locked them up in an enchanted jar. Despite their terrifying reputation, in reality, the Dandelion Sprites are just tiny human-like creatures that are foul-mouthed and arrogant. They remained concealed in a jar casing in Nico's room and often tried to manipulate her with their words. The Eyeless Misery Wraiths. In Episode 3, Edwin and Crystal encountered a Misery Wraith in their secret room of the haunted Devlin house. Lucky for Crystal that Edwin knew perfectly well how to deal with a misery monster that sniffs out negative feelings and feeds on pain. These are creatures of hell, and given his 7-decade-long stint in hell, Edwin instantly identified this growling monster when he saw one. Edwin theorized that the pain and misery of the ghosts in the haunted house attracted the Misery Wraith, which now lurks around in the ventilation tunnels. These mouthless, eyeless monsters with creepily wrinkly skin crawl on all fours, kind of like the famous spine-chilling spider walk from The Exorcist. A quick guideline to deal with these monsters is to think happy thoughts. Any sad thoughts and it will break the mind of its prey and feed off the agony for years. That's too bad for Crystal, because right at this do-or-die moment at the Devlin house, she got possessed by her devilish ex-boyfriend, making the Misery Wraith leap towards her. Thanks to Edwin, that he managed to trap it in the secret room forever, but not before crushing its fingers with a door. Without a steady supply of pain to feed on, the Misery Wraiths have very short lifespans and turn to dust. Later in the show, Charles saw several of these Misery Wraiths in hell. The Shy and Awkward Sea Monster. In the 4th episode, we meet Angie, the sea monster, a terrifyingly huge predator that haunts the ocean waters since ancient times. From time to time, the creature is awakened by the passing storms when it starts snacking on humans to satiate its hunger. The sea monster's got a unique way of luring its prey, one that causes them to high dive from a lighthouse and fall right into its mouth. Angie, as the water devil is called, is also apparently awfully shy, so she doesn't really make an appearance on the water surface herself. Instead, she sends out a feeling of longing through the light she radiates, and emotionally vulnerable humans can hear their loved ones through the light. This causes them to jump towards the light in the water and directly land up in Angie's mouth. For example, Crystal longs to meet her mother, and through Angie's light signal, she heard her mom call out to her, which almost caused her to jump. The Dead Boy detectives decided to put Angie to sleep instead of killing her, and for that they picked out a marine music machine that releases incredibly loud noise which would act like a lullaby. When the night nurse tracked down Charles and his friends near the lighthouse and tortured them with horrible memories, Charles sent her plummeting towards Angie down below along with a music box. This climatic scene is really the first time the introvert Angie makes an appearance, and oh boy, gigantic would be an understatement for this sea beast. She looks like a mutated fish with rows of sharp teeth and a spike head that comes with a huge antenna, with a mystical headlight attached to it, and it is this mysterious light from the antenna that causes all the trouble.
Where are my manners? Boys, this is Teeth-Face.
Teeth-Face, the Monstrous Mushroom. A trip to the creepiest forest brought the ghost buddies and their friends face to face with an interdimensional forest elemental, a gigantic mushroom called Teeth-Face that can talk. Before actually encountering Teeth-Face, Edwin and Charles witnessed a small spore colony of these forest elementals consuming the ghost of an animal. These nasty fungi pose a threat to the living and the dead alike. As per the Book of Supernatural Compendium, the forest elemental feeds as freely on the energy obtained from dissolved ectoplasm as it does from living tissue. The result is instantaneous and irreversible. This means in addition to snacking on living beings, the elementals feed on the energy of ghosts and use it to grow more powerful. Attacked by the elementals, ghosts can't die again, but they are consumed or absorbed for their energy, resulting in instant and irreversible elimination. Like Charles says, any ghost he eats is completely obliterated. No afterlife, no reincarnation, just empty, dark nothing. The forest elementals are instinctual and primal in nature with a near-eternal lifespan and turn highly aggressive when provoked. Edwin and Charles knew just how to destroy this deadly fungus, or at least they thought so. The ghost friends whipped up a purple concoction only to realize that this particular elemental they are about to witness is of humongous proportions. An elemental of this size usually dwells underground, but this one named Teeth-Face was particularly juiced up by Esther the Witch at her creepy workshop and set loose in the forest. Thriving in the wild, the elemental grew into a colossal mushroom with a burning top half, a menacing trap-like mouth and octopus-like tentacles, and feeds on spiritual energy. Like its smaller incarnations, this giant elemental also poses a particular threat to the dead, and even casual contact with a fungal colony of this species results in immediate and total disintegration. Controlled by Esther, Teeth-Face strangled Edwin and Charles with its tentacles, hoping to eat them up. But Crystal communicated with the elemental via her psychic powers and freed it of Esther's influence. Teeth-Face was happy to ditch his murderous pursuits and return to his dimension, but not without taking Esther along with him. The Spider from Hell. Just when you thought the boys would get a break from fighting monsters, there arrived one straight from hell. From hell's middle levels, to be precise, this one is a demon spider that resides in hell and can travel to the surface world at will to drag its victims down the abyss. Being a creature of the nether realms, this monstrous spider is covered in crusty scales and his menacing rows of glowing red eyes. Waiting to take Edwin back to hell, this spider baddie has been huffing and puffing for decades, and when the night nurse tracked Edwin down at the butcher shop apartment, the spider got a whiff of his location from the lost and found apartment files and dragged him back to hell. The monster's arrival was marked by violent tremors and eerie laughter of demonic dolls, prompting Edwin to freak out and say, "It's coming from hell." The growling monster broke through the dimensions and dragged Edwin back through the portal within a matter of seconds, closing the opening behind him. Later, the spider demon was seen patrolling the alleyways of hell where ghosts remained trapped in their miseries, and a close-up revealed that it's actually made up of baby doll heads. This demon feasts on the trapped ghosts, and because the ghosts cannot die again, they have to endure this hell beast gnawing attacks time and again. The Spidey demon chased Edwin and Charles up the stairway out of hell, and it was such a frightening sight that it even made the night nurse shudder. Esther Finch's giant snake. Esther Finch, the big bad of the Season 1 storyline, had a pet, a rather unusual one. It was a giant reddish snake locked up in her spooky basement that feasted on little girls who were kidnapped by Esther. The pain inflicted by the snake on the young victims before it chewed them up helped Esther to steal their vitality and keep herself from aging. When Edwin fell into the snake's lair through the secret cupboard, he found it strewn with skeletons of tiny humans. In the finale episode, Charles had a showdown with the Nagini of this Neil Gaiman universe down at Esther's basement. To fight this sinister snake, Charles fished out his enchanted bat, which did not last more than a few moments. Because the magic snake delivers magic wounds, causing Charles to writhe in pain, Charles' second choice of weapon was a magic sword, which he dragged out of his bag like the unveiling of the Gryffindor sword from the Sorting Hat. As this monster serpent was about to gulp down Charles, he performed an impressive backflip and finished it off with a sword. One powerful strike of the sword caused Esther's snake to blow up in flames, which in turn also weakened the witch.
Nasty sting, the choker's eye.
Esther Finch, the Immortal Witch. This brings us to Esther Finch, a true monster by nature. Even if not by appearance, Esther is the witch who made a deal with a goddess of scorned women, Lilith, and gained immortality. But immortal life doesn't mean immortal youth, and to prevent herself from aging, Esther devised a sinister plan. For decades, she has been kidnapping little girls and feeding them to her snake, stealing their youth and vitality in the process. Esther and the detective boys crossed paths when the witch kidnapped a 10-year-old Becky Aspen, prompting Charles, Edwin, and Crystal to land up in Port Townsend for an investigation. After they managed to rescue Becky from Esther's secret chamber, Esther swore to settle the score with the detective boys. By the finale episode, Esther designed a terrifying machine that converts pain into raw magic, which will make her formidable enough to torment all of Port Townsend. Esther came up with a theory that because Edwin has suffered in hell for 70 years, he is filled with pain and agony, and harvesting his miseries would generate stronger powers. As she managed to capture Edwin and torture him with her pain-extracting machine, Crystal summoned the goddess Lilith and revealed Esther's true nature to her. It was at this time that Charles finished off Esther's snake, which was crucial to her health and youth. The combined effects of Lilith's wrath and the snake's disappearance converted Esther into an old and frail woman. Then, Lilith paid a surprise visit to Port Townsend and dragged Esther away into some sort of hell, thus freeing the town of Esther's sinister plans.
You're pretty well.
David, the Sadistic Demon. One of the few overarching villains of the Dead Boy Detective Season 1 is David, Crystal's abusive ex. He is actually an ancient demon that cannot be killed. He possessed Crystal because of her psychic powers and used her as a pawn. Possessed by David, Crystal stole people's wallets and caused car accidents just for fun. The catch here is that Crystal wasn't forcefully possessed by David but offered her up as a host because she was in love. In the first episode, the detective boys exercised Crystal inside the London Tube, particularly when the train stopped at King's Cross, prompting the demon to flee, but not before he took all of Crystal's memories. He turned them into memory marbles and blackmailed Crystal through the rest of the show, dragging Crystal into his hellish realm every now and then. While David had the appearance of a regular person, when angered, he turned into his demonic avatar with pitch black eyes and snakes coming out of his mouth. That's also how he possessed his victims, by turning into a snake-like being and slithering down the victim's throat. However, if exorcised out of a host once, the demon cannot get back inside the same host without their approval. David begged and begged Crystal to let him back in, and when he got tired of begging, he possessed Crystal's landlady and friend Jenny, turning her into a butcher's knife-wielding killer. It is eventually revealed that this demon has been cast out of hell, and hence it haunts the realm of the living, attempting to turn it into a living hell. As David cannot be killed, Crystal decided to take him to another dimension, which is watched over by her psychic ancestors, and bury him beside a tree that gives Crystal her special powers. the howling demon Saal, who appears in the very first episode of the show. Back in 1916, Edwin was a student at St. Hilarions Residential School. Edwin's indifference towards a fellow classmate named Simon prompted the latter to teach Edwin a lesson. Simon and a couple of other bullies decided to perform a fake sacrificial ritual with a supernatural book Simon got from his brother and offered up Edwin as a gift to the demon Saal. What they didn't realize was their chance actually summoned the demon, who instantly killed off everyone in the room by turning them into fiery embers. As Saal was promised a sacrifice during the ritual, he refused to let Edwin go and dragged them all the way to hell. This growling demon can choose to crawl on all fours or become bipedal and has a ghoulish skeletal appearance. Even if you manage to not get spooked out by its pitch-black eyes and bloody teeth, you will indeed run for your life when Saal opens its mouth and lets out the devilish howl, which sucks in his victims into an abyss.
Hi.
Can all cats do that?
The flirtatious Cat King. We've saved the best for the last, and he is not a monster but a powerful shape-shifting cat spirit named the Cat King. His mystical abilities include shape-shifting into a charming person and also turning into various cats through a blaze of purple fire. In addition, the Cat King can also teleport at will, and that's how he kept track of Edwin's whereabouts across Port Townsend. He operates out of a port warehouse and is the protector of all cats. When Edwin used his magic to interrogate a town cat against its will, the disgruntled cat lodged a complaint to the Cat King. Offended by Edwin's behavior, the Cat King punished Edwin with a bracelet that prevents him from leaving town, but not before attempting to charm Edwin with his flirtatious ways. He assigns a bizarre task to Edwin, asking him to count all the cats in town to earn his freedom from the bracelet. However, no matter how charming the Cat King is, one scene in episode 2 revealed how ruthless he can be by focusing on the corpse in front of his throne that's been chewed upon by his cats. Though he seems rather antagonistic at first, it appears that the Cat King has taken a liking to Edwin and merely wishes for him to stay longer in town. Referencing the idiom that cats have 9 lives, Cat King indeed has 9 of them, and when we meet him first on the show, he was on his 3rd. In episode 7, when Esther mauled him to death with her iron stick, the Cat King's spirit came alive again, angry and furious at having lost another life. It is the Cat King who accidentally revealed to Esther that Edwin escaped hell, thus prompting her to come up with the Let's Torture Edwin plan. Cat King has known Esther Finch for ages and explained her origins to Crystal and Nico in the finale episode so that they can free Edwin and Charles of her clutches. While the Cat King told Crystal and Nico that attempting to kill Esther was an impossible idea, he also suggested they carry some enchanted black salt with them. So folks, that was quite a frightful roster of monsters from Neil Gaiman's extended universe, with Cat King as the delightful exception. These supernatural baddies are guaranteed to give you nightmares, unless you're friends with the dead boy detectives who are more than willing to beat them up with a magic bat or lock them up in enchanted jars, but only if you ask them politely. Which one of these monsters freak you out the most? And what are your thoughts on the Cat King? Please share to us your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you liked our video, please give us a shout out and stay tuned for more spooky and sci-fi content. We'll see you super soon.